Hi there, my name is Steve Gerhardt, and as always, this is the Unagi Observer. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching the videos. I really do appreciate that you guys watch. It makes me feel good inside. So please keep watching, because I like feeling good. Anyway, I promised you an actual anime review, and that is what you will get this week. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start. So I promised you an anime review, and this is the anime we're going to review. In case you forgot from last week, it is the astonishing work of Tezuka Osamu. There you go. So I got this disc from my new favorite video rental store called Beyond Video. If you want to check it out, the link is down below. And it was kind of nice because I wanted to get an anime that I necessarily didn't know that well, or haven't really watched in a while, or don't know anything about. And this seemed really interesting. It's a collection of Tezuka's more artistic anime that he created. So it's a whole list of that. 3 of them are pretty long form. A couple are between 30 and 35 minutes, and another one is about almost 45 minutes long. The rest are between 4 and 8 minutes, and there's quite a few of them. The entire DVD lasts about 3 hours, give or take. So for those of you who don't know who Tezuka is, who might not know who that person is, this guy is a mangaka, and he and his contemporaries were instrumental in pushing a modern form of manga back in the late 40s and early 50s to the Japanese public, and then later on to the world. And it was a more modern manga had existed previously to this time, actually for quite a while, honestly, for a couple hundred years. But this is the most modern version of it, and Tezuka and his friends were really responsible for that. Tezuka was at the forefront because he was making a lot of the popular stuff. He was doing Kimba the White Lion, Phoenix Buddha. Buddha's very good. Astro Boy, right? So these are all mangas that people were very familiar with. And the big contribution that Tezuka had for people, for us otakus, is that he is the one who took manga and made it into animation that we know as anime today. So he's really important. And there is what I like to call the Astro Boy Tezuka, which is the popular stuff. This all the stuff that we know about. Again, Astro Boy, Kimba the White Lion, all that good stuff. But then there is the artistic Tezuka. And this Tezuka, while he was very successful in the other stuff that he was doing, he was able to get on to Japanese network television and gain a wide audience, and hence we have anime today. But he also made some creative stuff. And some of the stuff that he did, he wanted to explore actual animation techniques. He wanted to try to do different types of storytelling and different kinds of stories, more adult stories. So the famous saying, anime isn't just for kids. Well, this DVD is an example of that. There's nothing for kids on that DVD, to be honest. Not that it's rated R or anything necessarily. Actually, some of them are very adult themes, but it's just over the heads of most kids, right? This is the artistic Tezuka that we're dealing with. And again, it's about 3 hours worth of this kind of stuff. And they chose a bunch of anime between 1964 and 1984. And I believe the one in 1984, Jump, is the last one that he did entirely on his own, I believe, before he died in 1989. So yeah, this is really, really important stuff. He's an important person in case you don't know that much about him. And I've been toying with the idea of actually doing a sort of panel video, or a panel just in general for conventions. But if you would like to see a panel video lasting about 45 minutes to an hour describing the life and times of Tezuka Osamu, let me know down below, and maybe I'll start to work on that. But anyway, so just to kind of give you a background of what this DVD is and Tezuka himself. So now that we've got that squared away, let's talk about some of the anime on this actual disc. So as I said before, this is more of an adultish kind of anime. This is more thought-provoking. This is more thoughtful. Some of the animation techniques are very interesting. There are moments where you go, am I actually watching anime? Is this anime? And as Brent Newhall over in Anime Archaeology would say in a scholarly tone, what is anime? So these are kind of the things you think about as you're watching it, because while there are connections to anime as we know it, it's Tezuka being, hey, I'm going to put my beret on and I'm going to be artistic. So there are different styles and forms of storytelling in here. One of the things that you're going to notice through the majority of these shorts and long forms is that dialogue is minimal. Most of these do not have a huge amount of dialogue between the characters. More often than not, you'll hear a narrator, and that's the most that you'll get. So he depends greatly on the visuals that you see and the audio. And so there's a lot of classical music, particularly in the long forms. He uses Tchaikovsky amongst other composers with which to tell a story. So I'm not going to go through every single one of them because we'll be here forever if I do that. So I'm just going to touch on a handful. And I think I'm going to touch on the long form first. One of the long forms, the one that's 45 minutes long. It's called Tales of a Street Corner. And this one is basically, I like to think of it as an OVA, honestly. So the story is centered around an actual alley. By the way, this is made in 1964. In an alley, we can assume that the town is Japanese. All right, we think the city is Japanese. And like I said, it's based in this one alley in this city. And it starts off with a little girl up at the top of this building, and the dormer windows are open, and she's playing with her teddy bear, and she drops her teddy bear, rolls down the roof, but gets stuck on a gutter. And she can't get to the teddy bear, she can't bring it back up, and she's sad. So as this is happening, there's a family of mice or rats, but they're drawn in a cute manner, so it's not like something that would make you cringe. And one of them, one of the child rats is very mischievous, and as his parents are trying to create a nest for his brothers and sisters, he goes over and checks out the teddy bear, and he's trying to figure out what it is, and as a result, he kind of falls to the floor of the alley. He hits the alley street and kind of knocks himself for a loop. And then when he gets up, he kind of looks at the posters on the wall of the alley, and they come to life. So there's a story there. There's a story that these posters tell. Each poster has images and ideas and things on them, and so the characters on those posters act within that framework, right? Kind of voguing there. And so one of the big stories is, of course, this guy playing a violin in one of the posters, and then a few posters down is a girl who's playing a piano. So clearly there's something going on here between the two of them. But there's a saucy wench a few posters down the other way, and she's clearly advertising a bar or something. She's very curvaceous and sexy, and she really likes the guy who's playing the violin. But, she's jealous of the girl playing the piano. So when a bug comes out from behind one of the posters, she enlists the aid of the bug to create problems. So it goes in that vein. And you see the stories from the various pictures. There's very upbeat, energetic music. You get the idea that we are in the halcyon days of, things are fine, things are good, things are happy. And while they're, like the curvaceous woman might be a little bit jealous of things are okay, right? So as this is going on, the rat is still, the mischievous rat is still trying to figure out the teddy bear, and he's coming to have like an attachment to it, as the little girl would have had an attachment to the teddy bear. And periodically you see the little girl trying to get the bear. And so all this is going on, and suddenly you see footsteps, feet walking, and suddenly a poster is just ripped off the wall, and it's thrown onto the street, and down it goes. And that's how they die. The people on the posters die. And a new poster is thrown up, and everyone's just like, what's going on here? What's the deal? And then the poster is of a person, of a very strong man, authoritarian, in a military uniform, mustache, right? And very, very, order. I am in control. I control everything. And he starts to do that. So this whole story is basically about how a society that is happy can fall into authoritarianism and the consequences of those things. And boy, are there consequences. I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's cute in places and it's not cute in other places. Let's just put it that way. But definitely something to watch. A couple other ones, more short films, about between 4 and 8 minutes each. One is called Memory, and this is kind of interesting. This is Tezuka kind of playing around with the idea of what memory is. And there's a narrator that actually talks about memory. So it's not even a story, really. It's just a guy talking about it. And as he's talking, there's an animated background, but the characters that we see are photographs of actual people, and it's kind of like South Park kind of stuff going on. And again, this is late 60s, so it's kind of like, having a picture of a guy, actual person, on an animated background, and the Tezuka's narrator is talking to you about what is memory, how it can be fickle, how how you can remember some things and not other things, and because of heartbreak or war or love, or how you view things, how you remember it. Like, they make the point of like having these headless women walking around, and at first you're like, what's that? What does that mean? But really what it means is that if you're in love with somebody, you'll remember that person's face, but probably not of other women, because you're in love with that person. So that's how your memory works. And it's a very interesting 4 or 6 minute animation. And again, it's Tezuka kind of exploring, how do I use the reel used with the animation and to tell a thing, a concept, an idea. Another one, which is humorous until it isn't, is called Male. And it starts with a totally black screen, and you hear noises. You hear a cat, you hear tapping, and then you see a spotlight, and you'll see a guy's face, and you'll see his hair stands up, and he taps it down, and then the spotlight goes away. It's black again. Then the spotlight comes up in another part of the screen, and it might be him tapping on something. And then you might hear the cat actually meowing, but he's actually trying to talk to the human and saying, look, we're both men, okay? And we both have our women friends here. So the cat has his lady cat friend underneath the bed with him. And he's imploring to the human guy to, quit being weird and do the thing with your woman, because I don't want to be distracted doing the thing with my cat lady friend. And so it's humorous, it's adult, and until, again, it's not. It's very grim. The ending is kind of horrific and grim dark. But again, it's like 4 minutes of storytelling, interesting storytelling. So you definitely get that. There is, looking at my notes here, Pictures at the Exhibition. This is Tezuka really not being complimentary towards elements of society. And it starts off with a live action camera shot going to a art museum. And then once you go inside the art museum, it becomes animated, and they choose various pictures. And it's based on a actual symphony called Pictures at the Exhibition. And he tells the story of what those pictures mean. So one of them is of a journalist, one of them is of a politician, another one is of a professional, one is a particularly grim one is about soldiers, and how soldiers can find, even though they're on opposite sides of a war, can find common goals and still screw it up. So yeah, it's kind of very, very, very interesting. Another one is that I thought was kind of unique, is Genesis. So it's about the book of Genesis in the Bible, and Tezuka is definitely the animator for this particular one. I'm reading the notes here, and The music is from Il Fortuna. If you know what that is, then you know exactly what the music of that is. If you don't know what that is, then I would entreat you to say it's the song from Excalibur that Patrick Stewart was in when he was much younger. It's that song. Anyway, Astro Boy makes a brief appearance in this one. That was really unexpected. But the movie was directed by John Huston. I haven't done the research on why that is, but that's what happened. And this storytelling, this book about Genesis, is thought-provoking because it kind of gives a version, Tezuka's version of what does this mean? What is Genesis? What does it mean? How does that relate to us as people? The last one I'm going to touch on is called Push. No, I'm sorry. Second to last one is called Push. And Push is very interesting. I think it was done in like 81 or 82. And it shows a guy in a car driving across the wasteland, has a machine gun in the back on a tripod, and he's driving. He looks very grim. He's like Mad Max, right? And he's driving, and as he's driving, and this is for all you Japanese vending machine aficionados like myself, this is kind of fun. He shows up and to these various vending machines in the wasteland, and they look brand new. Like everything else around it might be crumbling, like a dilapidated gas station or something, but you know, this vending machine looks brand new, and he just presses the button and something new comes out. So as he's going across the wasteland and he's finding these vending machines and he's pressing the buttons, he gets new clothes, he gets a haircut, he gets a new car, all these new things, until finally he hits what I call the bar at the end. And he goes inside the bar. It's this beautiful bar, and there's God behind the bar, being the bartender. And the guy is just like, look, I see all these vending machines, and I've got all this new stuff. Clearly, we can make a new Earth, so I want a new Earth. What do I have to push? Which button do I push to get the new Earth? And God just kind of looks at him and goes, sorry, you already have Earth. And he says a very cryptic comment, and you're like, huh? And then there's the end of the video, which I don't want to spoil because it's very. On one hand, you'll go, haha, clever. On the other hand, go, haha, clever. Oh, okay, got it. Crap. So it's something very, very interesting to watch. The last one that I'm going to touch on is called Jump, and that was in 1984, and I think, double check me on this, I think it is the last animation he did totally not by himself, but that he was completely involved with. And this is all about form and movement and point of view. So there's no real story to this. It literally is, it's your point of view. You're looking at this landscape, and this is like small little village town thing, and you're jumping up and down. And then you jump up and you move forward a little bit. You jump up a little higher. You move a little bit further forward until it progresses to the point where you're jumping entire miles, right? And going up into the stratosphere, almost to space almost. And so the animation is all about how to use techniques to show movement. The animation itself, like the actual animated trees as you're jumping around, or the people that you're coming across very, very briefly, is not crude, but it's definitely, you know, like, okay, this is not top notch, but you realize that what you're seeing instead that is really cool is the fluid movement of jumping around. And it's just kind of mind-blowing when you consider that this was done in 1984, and that's kind of the point of I guess having this as part of the compilation, is just kind of showing Tezuka is always pushing the boundaries. So yeah, so am I telling you to get this DVD and watch it? Yeah, hell yeah. You need to watch this thing for a variety of different reasons. I'm sure you can find this somewhere on Amazon, eBay, maybe if you have a local interesting Beyond Video type store like I do. If you're lucky enough to have one of those, then avail yourself of this to watch this. And this is, keep in mind that this is Tezuka, so this is not going to be today's standard animation. This is him pushing the boundaries back in the day with what he had, which was drawing cells, no computer animation, right? So this is him pushing those boundaries, and it's very, very interesting. And also, I like this because this is kind of, to me, almost a historical document of anime. Like, this is a really good snapshot of how animation progresses, and ideas and things that work and maybe don't work. Again, there's a lot more to it. This is about 3 hours. I only touched on like literally just a handful of what's there on this DVD. So there's a lot of interesting things. There's one in particular that I'm blanking on the name that reminds me of the movie The Sword of Doom, where this guy finds a sword and he confuses people with practice dummies, and it's a very articulated animation, and it's very. I don't know how else to describe it other than very, very interesting stuff. So yes, please, by all means, watch this DVD. Get it if you can get a hold of it, if you can. If not, look it up. See what the various animations are on it, and maybe you can find it one by one or in groups or something of that nature. Like, for example, the first one I told you about, the alley, I am pretty sure you can find that as an OVA somewhere. But yeah, so definitely avail yourself of this DVD. All right, so that's it for the astonishing works of Tezuka Osamu, and definitely, and let me know if you would like me to do a panel video of sorts for the channel. You know, it'll be a long one, about 45 minutes, 45 to 60 minutes, and talking about the impact and life of Tezuka. So let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. Maybe I'll even do it for a convention one day. Who knows? Maybe. Anyway, so that's it. So there's a new round of COVID going around, so you guys got to take care of yourselves, because I am going to conventions when I can, and I would love it to see you guys there. That means you guys stay healthy and well, and also because I love you guys, and I love the fact that you watch my videos, so that's really cool for me, and I thank you very much for that. So please take care of yourselves. Love you guys, and see you next time. And oh, something we used to say on the Weekly Dig that I want to say now, which is watch more anime.